Hey, my name is Stefanie, and today I'm going to talk about social entrepreneurship, and I'm going to share what everybody needs to know. First of all, I'm going to talk a bit about myself and my own social enterprise. Secondly, I'm going to talk about what's in the name social entrepreneurship, because this is a big buzzword where a lot has to be said about. Thirdly, I'm going to talk about the evolution and history, because it's quite important to know where we're coming from and where we're heading it. Fourth, I'm going to talk about the purpose and the why of social entrepreneurship, the golden circle of Simon Sinek. And as lastly, I'm going to talk about the social value and the impact, because that's the main goal of social entrepreneurship, to create impact and to get shit done, how the Ice Cube would say. So first, who am I? I'm Stefanie, I'm 33 years old, and I'm a founder of a social enterprise. So I'm a social entrepreneur since 2016, but I'm also a motivational speaker. I founded my own social enterprise in 2016 with the name The Big C, and it stands for Coffee with Impact. I had two main impact goals. One was to empower young people affected by cancer by creating social and economic chances for them to reintegrate them back into society. I myself am a young cancer survivor, which means that I was confronted with all the needs that I had and all the problems that I ran into after my cancer treatment, and society didn't really have any solutions for me back then. So I decided to find a solution myself, and I established a company that would help find a solution. The second main goal was that I really wanted to contribute to a sustainable planet. That means that within my business, we're choosing for ecological choices. For example, we're using organic coffee, we're using organic local milk from the farmer around the corner, we're using compostable coffee cups, and we're truly thinking about how can we make a change and how can we make a conscious decision that helps the planet and that helps the people. Having that said, what's in the name? Social entrepreneurship. Myself, I would like to call it an organized chaos, because there is so many buzzwords being used nowadays. Maybe that's even my biggest frustration, because as a social entrepreneur, I need to justify a lot what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, how I'm doing it, because there isn't any framework, at least not in Belgium. The other side is that there's many frameworks. There is more than 150 definitions of social entrepreneurship or a social enterprise worldwide. It's safe to say that we're still in a research phase, and that's a good thing. It's a really good thing. But we shouldn't wait until there is a framework or a context. We should try to understand ourselves what is going on. So you have heard of SDGs, CSR, social economy, inclusive economy, sustainable economy, circular economy, B Corp, and all of these words that you think, okay, what's in a name? What does it really mean? I'm gonna try to help you break down some. I think the most important is SDGs. SDGs stands for Sustainable Development Goals, and if you haven't heard it by now, where have you been? Under which rock have you been living? But I think it's safe to say that quite some people still don't really know where it comes from. Well, it was an agreement that was made in 2015 by the United Nations, and all the member states signed a framework, a legal framework, that unfortunately is not binding, but it creates an opportunity for all the member states to work on life-changing goals, 17 in total, and one of them is end poverty, make sure there is equality for young girls and women, and so on. So SDGs have become very important because everybody wants to reach the goals by 2030 to end, for example, poverty. And the framework allows the member states to implement all of these ambitious goals within their own policies and activities. So these are the SDGs. A second very important name is CSR, which stands for Corporate Social Responsibility. In Flemish, or in my language, it stands for MVO, maatschappelijk verantwoord ondernemen. It's the same, so you understand what I'm talking about. CSR means that corporates who are mainly profit-driven started to realize that they could have another impact in the world, that they could do more than just make profit, obviously. And they started to have certain activities, or they started to change their policies so that they are more socially responsible. One of the most famous examples is that they changed their paper to recycled paper. And I have many other examples, but for you to understand what it means, CSR, it means that the corporate company becomes more socially responsible and tries its best. Having that said, we need to be careful with window dressing nowadays, because a lot of companies like to use it and they just have one small minor thing. They use ecological pens, or they change their coffee in organic coffee, which is amazing, but that doesn't mean that they're 100% CSR or 100% MVO. And I think the main goal is to create the maximum output and the maximum impact. So CSR is something that means that we're on the way, but we're not really there yet. A third one is social economy. The fact that we put economy and social together means that we are making progress and we're seeing business together with the word social. Unfortunately, when we translate it to our own language, it has a different meaning. For example, in Belgium, social economy is something very specific. Social economy is a part of our economy that has been implemented for people with a distance from the labor market, people with fewer opportunities, people with disabilities. So we created an economy where it was partly funded by the government, so the fact that this kind of people might be less productive or they have another work tempo is been balanced by funds of the government so companies can exist. But this is a very specific definition. This definition doesn't even exist in the Netherlands. They don't even use the word social economy. And then in the UK, for example, social economy means everything in the middle, in the spectrum of totally on the left, which is non-profit, and totally on the right is just profit. Everything what's in the middle, the third party, is being called social economy. So what's in the name? What are we talking about when we're in a conference, an international one, and we're talking about social economy? We should truly understand what it means for the person who's talking. Yesterday I wrote an article that the European Commission is making a new definition on social economy, so I'm curious what they will come up with. Another word is circular economy. This has been a trendsetter since last year. Circular means a no-waste economy. It means that we want to have a circle, that we don't want to throw away materials, we want to reuse as much as possible. It was mainly focused on the planet, on saving the planet, but since a couple of months we're also talking about saving people, because talent or human capital should also have a no-waste mentality. So circular economy means we're not leaving anything or anybody behind. We're going for a full inclusiveness with materials, but also with people. And last, I want to talk again about social entrepreneurship, because as I said, it has more than 140 definitions. It is in the research phase. And let me tell you that we already have a new word, and it's called impact entrepreneurship, where we're focusing on impact and not on the word social. So you can understand that this is a mess, this is a chaos, and it's not easy to operate in. And as a social entrepreneur, it's not always easy to present yourself and explain what you're doing. What I always teach, or what I always use, is this model. This is a very important model that will explain a lot. On the left, we have the traditional charity. On the right, we have traditional business. This is how we all know it. Charities work with volunteers, with governmental funds, with grants, with donations. It's purely charity. They don't have any market-based revenue stream. On the opposite, we have the traditional business. It's pure profit. They're just money-driven. And those have nothing to do with each other. But when we have a look at the history in the next slide, you will see how it slowly started, that both worlds started to grow to each other, because at some point the traditional charity that are just a driver for social value realized that if they could make their own money, they could do even more things. good companies and good people that make a lot of money do good things with it. And if you're just independent, or you're just, dependent from donors and the government, then you don't have any sustainability in your existence. And as we know, we're in a financial crisis in the world. So in the charities, a lot of funds are being cut last years. So they're thinking about, okay, we don't want to lose our social value, and there's still so many problems. So how can we create a revenue stream ourselves? So they started to think more business-wise. So they're here. Then the traditional businesses, as I said, they started to implement CSR, the corporate responsibility, and they started to realize, if we're just gonna continue being purely money-driven, our grandchildren will be fucked. Let me tell you that, because we are destroying the planet, we're not respecting people, and we're really destroying a lot of good things. So we need to become more responsible. Where there is a big misunderstanding is the following. Traditional charities start to say we are social entrepreneurs because they have entrepreneurial thoughts and they have ideas, but their main income is still government funds and donations. Then at the other side of the spectrum, the traditional businesses are saying we are social businesses because we are doing good things, so that makes us a social enterprise. But their main purpose is still profit. The definition of a social enterprise for me is when you put people and planet as an absolute priority. You're purpose-driven. You want to have an impact on the people and the planet, and making profit is important to do what you need to do to pay everything that an enterprise needs to pay. But you always need to put the priority on the people and the planet and how you can make positive change there. And you need to be self-sustaining. This is a very important something. You're only a social enterprise when 70 to 80% of your income is self-created. You are generating your own revenue with your business model, and within that social business model, you're creating an impact, and all the profit you make, you directly reinvest into your business. For me, that is a social enterprise. Profits are reinvested, and you have 70 to 80% your own revenue. You can always get some extra seed money from the government for small projects, you know. I'm a big fan of that. But when you are having almost 100% funds and you don't have any business model, you're not selling any products, any services, you're not a social enterprise. At the same time, if you're just putting profit first, and you're making decisions. I'll give you a concrete example. Some business coaches told me, Stefanie, you could have more profit for yourself when you buy cheaper products. You know, if you don't buy organic coffee, the price of your product to buy it yourself is cheaper. If you stop using compostable cups, you reduce the price of all your disposables in your coffee corner, because you're paying twice as much because you have an ecological mindset. So if you can make more, if you want to make more money, you can stop doing all of these things, and the money that is left for you, the profit, is bigger. If I would say, yes, I will do that, then I'm purely money driven and I lose my title of social enterprise. Because if I don't put people and planet at first, and I really want to have social value and matter, then if I don't do that, I'm just purely a corporate, a traditional business. I'm sorry to take a lot of time on this, but really imprint this very good. So whenever you're talking with an NGO, or you're talking with a corporate, a business, and they're telling you we're social entrepreneurs, we are a social enterprise, you can challenge them, you know. You can say, okay, what is your revenue stream? How much money do you make? Who are your funders? Who is giving you money? And so on. As promised, I would also like to talk a bit about the timeline, because social entrepreneurship is nearly new. Especially in Belgium, I can call myself a pioneer. Believe me, we're not doing an easy job, we're doing a dirty job, because as I said, the right and the left are not a very good marriage. From traditions in our history, a charity should not make any money. is literally called non-profit. Don't make any profit. And on the other side, the traditional business, they're mainly money driven, so they were never focusing on creating impact and being human driven, for example. So combining the two is really a dirty job. When did it all started? When did we start to talk about social entrepreneurship? Well, we go way back when, I think late 18th century, some scientists started to talk about morals in business. That was the first time morals were mentioned in business, so that it was not merely money-driven and money, let's say. But they started to think about, okay, are we doing the right thing? Are we respecting planet and people and so on? Then, late 20th, something important happened, and this changed everything for us. Ashoka was founded in America. And Ashoka is the first organization, platform, community that defined the word social entrepreneurship. And they saw that there was a lot of people from the charity world that wanted to do good things, that had entrepreneurial ideas, that had good business plans, and if they could multiply their money, they could multiply their impact on the world. So Ashoka started to coach them and give them training so that they could become business people, entrepreneurs. At the same time, they were looking for financial resources to boost them, to have start capital, let's say, seed funding, so that they can truly become a social enterprise. So Ashoka has been around for ages, let's say, and it's still a very important umbrella for us as social entrepreneurs. And when you have reached the level to be a recognized Ashoka member, you know you made it. Then, this was America. America is not Europe, obviously. So, middle 20th century. Late 90s, the word social and business were put together in the UK for the first time, because they understood that there were a lot of social problems in society, and the charity or the non-governmental organizations couldn't come up with solutions fast enough. And they also understood that just a pure profit business was not really tackling those social challenges. They had a big gap between poor and rich, literally, and they came up with a third party, the hybrid system, everything what was in the middle. When you combine social and you combine profit, you have a third party. So the UK was one of the first countries in Europe to start thinking about this and experimenting with it. And it has been until 2006 that the whole world had their eyes again on social entrepreneurship, let's say, because then the Graham Bank, if you don't know what it was or what it stands for, it started to lend microloans to people with fewer opportunities. It started to invest in people in poverty, giving them small loans with a very low interest rate, let's say, in order to boost them. And what they saw was that when you invest in people that by society were labeled as poor and worthless and not contributing to the world, amazing things happen, because when you create opportunities and chances for this group of people, the return on investment is huge. So the Graham Bank won the Nobel Prize, and everybody started thinking, wow, so we shouldn't leave all these people behind. We should really invest in them. We forgot to take them on the boat back in the days. So because of this, more and more attention came on social entrepreneurship, on how to multiply impact and money, and how to use it and give ownership to vulnerable people and make them entrepreneurs and make them find their own solutions for their own problems and make them ambassadors, and everything will change organically, let's say. And it was really happening. In the beginning, nobody really believed in it, but there was huge results. Then, in 2011, the European Commission finally hopped on, and they initiated the Social Business Initiative. So again, they put business and social together, which was a very important incentive in Europe, because then all the member states of the European Union started to integrate it. And it was the Netherlands that started to experiment with this in 2016. And in 2017, the donut economy was launched, let's say, and this was a whole new way of thinking about economy. This was a new framework which is adopted in Europe, in Belgium, which we're looking at how we can reform our economy, make it more social, make it more inclusive. And I think in the last 5 years, social entrepreneurship, social enterprises started to pop up out of the ground and started to grow, because surely me as a millennial, I was inspired by the international context, and now finally I could really start my own social enterprise in Belgium. As I said many times, and I will repeat myself, it's not easy for us because there isn't a legal framework in Belgium, there isn't a financial framework in Belgium, and the perception is still not really clear. That makes it very challenging because we're doing something what is not really defined yet. But I think along the way, we're trying to define it ourselves. That's why I'm sharing everything what you need to know so you can become part of our family and help write history. The theory of change. When you ask yourself, what is the purpose and the why? I think I've already mentioned it several times, why social entrepreneurship is so important. We have a big world with bigger and bigger problems. Our problems have increased, we are fastly developing. We are a global world where traveling is easy nowadays, migrating is easy. We have the internet, we have technologies, but it's also causing a lot of problems. And all these problems can't be directly solved by our government. In theory, you think, okay, we pay tax, and with the tax money, our government is contributing to all our problems in society, mainly poverty, inequality, discrimination, and so on, health, you can name it. But in practice, you see that our governments are not keeping up with. And at the same time, there is a huge evolution in business because it was growing rapidly. So the gap between poor and rich is bigger and bigger and bigger, and our world is so big that we needed a change. We needed to have a change in the world for our planet and for our people, because we were destroying our planet and we were destroying humanity. This is my personal opinion. We were and we're still destroying our planet and our humanity. So a social entrepreneur has the DNA within him or herself that they want to change. They want to change the world. They want to change the mindset of people. They want to change the way how we do things. And the purpose and the why is because we see an injustice. We see a problem. We see something that has not been solved yet, and nobody's taking responsibility. And we're looking for somebody to hold accountable, but at some point you realize, but I'm a world citizen. I'm accountable for what is happening with me. I'm accountable for my own life, for my family, for my friends, for my community. And I can truly strive for a theory of change. I can change people's mindset, mentality, habits, and so on, which have a direct impact on society. For example, I use my coffee brand and my coffee corners to have a theory of change. And I can say that I'm successful in it on a micro level, but at least I am changing and I'm driving change and I'm innovating. And that comes to the last point, the social value or the impact. And we are under a lot of criticism, we as social entrepreneurs, because how do we monitor impact? Whenever they ask me, are you successful? They want to know about my numbers, my accountancy. How much did you earn this year? How many new people did you hire? How much profit did you make? Numbers are very easy to monitor, but impact goes beyond numbers. Impact goes beyond just seeing whether you increase in your profit. Impact goes about human capital, the capital of the planet. And that's hard to measure, because how are you going to measure that you empowered somebody? How are you going to measure that you have given somebody quality of life? How are you going to measure that the change of behavior in your plastic use has a direct impact on the planet? There is a lot of very complicated formulas for it, but it's not easy to do quantitative and qualitative research on it. So when you talk about the social value and the impact, some people look down at us like, what are they truly doing? Are you really making a change? And it's a bit sad because when you become a social entrepreneur, you have a double burden. First of all, you're just a business. You need to make money to survive and to sustain. So you're already having the struggle of an entrepreneurship, which is not easy nowadays to start in this economic, very unstable context for us. And the second is that you strive for impact. So the cost that you have is way higher, and the return on investment that you get is not always what you foreseen. And the return on investment is not just numbers, it is much more than that. For me, the most important social value that we have is innovation, social innovation. Because as I said, we have a lot of problems and challenges, and if we're going to wait for our government or for companies to solve them, we're going to have to wait a long time. So social entrepreneurs are those who dare to lead and to bring social innovation forward. And what I've seen is that many times when a social innovation has become successful after a trial and error and a proof of concept, a lot of big corporates implement it in their own policies and their own activities. So for me, the most important aspect of social entrepreneurship is that we bring social value, we bring social innovation, we dare to think different, we dare to do it different, and we're truly making an impact. And even though it is a small impact sometimes, don't ever underestimate the impact that you can make on somebody else's life. I think there is this saying that a mosquito can keep you up all night, this little tiny small bug. So even the smallest form of impact can have a huge outcome and output. If I didn't convince you yet to become a social entrepreneur and to join me, I have a free bonus. Why you should become a social entrepreneur. And this is a bit from my own experience. First of all, you can become a hero because my community sees me as a hero. And that's a nice feeling because I go to bed with a very fulfilled feeling that I matter, that I'm doing something good for myself, for my community. And instead of being a victim of my own situation, I became a hero of my own story. And that's something really cool. Second, you can help save the world because the world needs savers and game changers and impact makers like us. Third, you will live your true purpose. And this is a big word, but a lot of people are still searching what they want in life, what life really means, and your purpose is within you. And a purpose is much more than just making good money, having a nice house. We all want to matter, and we're humans, we're connected, we are one big community. So your true purpose also lies in making a change for a better world, for yourself and for your community. Fourth, you will build an incredible legacy. And this is something important for myself as a millennial. When I graduated, I had big dreams and I wanted to work for the United Nations, which I also did, by the way, but then I got cancer and I lost my job, I lost it all. And for me, what I was thinking at a young age, I don't want to die without people knowing who I was and what I did. So I wanted to build a legacy. And I think I've built my small legacy by now. People won't forget what I'm doing, what I stand for, what my vision is. And that's again something very special. Fifth, you're never bored in the job. Let me tell you that. And it goes with sixth. You get fueled by passion every single day because it's a roller coaster. You're a pioneer, so every move that you make brings you to a next move and a next step, a next door that opens, a next window that opens. So you're every day fueled by your passion and by accomplishing your goal. You have a lot of energy because of that, because you know at the end of the day that you do it for the better. And that's also something really nice. So you never have the same day. Today I'm making this video. Later on I will see somebody of my community, a cancer survivor, and we're going to discuss our new marketing strategy. And later on, I have an appointment with an agency that is rebranding my concept because I want to relaunch after COVID, because I have plans to become a social franchise. Don't tell Starbucks yet, but I have plans to become bigger. 8, you have a lot of freedom. And this is positive and negative, but I take it positive. I don't like to work for a boss. I don't like to work in a box, in a framework. I'm a very creative, talented, driven person, and I need my freedom to be who I want to be. Of course, I also need to take responsibility. Having freedom doesn't mean that I can sleep every day, that I can do whatever I want, take holidays whenever I want. No, I am responsible for my own life, for my own income, but the freedom offers me a lot of satisfaction, a lot of feeling of belonging, of ownership, of truly being responsible for myself and taking the lead of my own life, let's say. 9th, you're part of a fantastic family. Without my colleagues, I wouldn't be here today. I would have given up a long time, because it's a network that is amazing. Because you know that everybody who is a social entrepreneur is somebody that has a very nice heart. Within the DNA, you want to make a change for the world. And that's something special. And to meet your vibe tribe is something special. So it's a fantastic family where you can always rely on. You co-create. There is a different energy, a different vibe. And lastly, you are the change. Don't forget that. You can truly change yourself, your own life, the lives from people around you. You can do so much more than you can think. And to end with another personal side note of my own life, after my cancer treatment, I ended up in a very black hole. I was lost, I lost my identity. Society gave up on me. I was about to die because I had a very bad prognosis. And I decided to not be part of the problem and be a victim and a patient, which literally means suffering. Patient in Latin means suffering. I decided to become part of the change. I decided to become a winner, a hero. I decided to become a survivor. I decided to make a change for myself, for my community, that nobody should ever feel that society gave up on you. And that's when I started with my coffee business, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing today. And I could add to my portfolio that I'm now a motivational speaker, and I'm educating students, teachers, professors, CEOs all over the world, national, international. So be the change that you want to see and own it. Own your own story, own your own purpose, own your own life mission. Thank you very much for Ice Cube for having me today. If you don't know what Ice Cube is, or you want to get more inspired, please check out my amazing, fantastic colleagues that will help you in every single way to become the best social entrepreneur ever. And don't forget, get shit done and create impact. Thank you very much. I would like to grab a coffee with you, and I reach out. If you have questions, you can always find me, and we can help the world become a better place for all of us.